All right, welcome to another episode of the Ask Swenk Show. This is episode 52, and on today's episode, we are going to chat about the questions you may be afraid to ask me.
I'm Jason Swenk, and I'm answering your questions. And this is Ask Swenk.
So let's go ahead and jump into the questions. So the first question is, if you were so successful, why did you sell your agency? So it's a great question, and I get asked this all the time. You know, there was, I think, a couple different factors. I felt that it was just the right time. You know, we did the agency for 12 years, and some part of me felt like we were running into our plateau at that time of what we knew. And another part of me was, I knew I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know what it was. And I started to not have the passion and the excitement that I had, for all the number of years leading up to that point. And at the end of the day, it was the right offer and the right timing. And so you kind of put all those together. That's why I decided to, get out of the agency. I mean, we were hugely successful. Our profit margins were huge. Our revenue was amazing. We had amazing employees. We had amazing clients. Obviously not everything was perfect, but a majority, when I look back at it, it was amazing. And so that's really why, I sold. I just knew I wanted to do something different, even though I didn't know what it was. And it took me a couple years to figure that out. If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently as an agency owner? Another amazing question. So there's a lot. I mean, you got to think back at like when I first started, I didn't even know what an invoice was. And I hired the right people in the wrong roles. I hired the wrong people. I mean, I did everything incorrectly, it seemed like, in the very beginning. But if I could do it all over again, I would just make sure that I was only doing the stuff I truly enjoyed. And then everything else, and I started doing this the last couple of years, that's why we had really good growth. But for the majority, there's a couple things that I just didn't enjoy doing, that I kept doing, that I didn't take the time, because we were so busy with client work, I didn't take that time in order to stop and saying, how can I use technology? How can I delegate this? Or how do I just say no completely and not do this anymore? I think that's probably the biggest thing. And then the other thing is always having that clarity of what we were creating and where we wanted to go, right? For a number of different years, it was just we were being reactive. And this may sound similar to almost all of you, right? You're reactive to the business that comes to you. You're reactive to the situations that presents itself in front of you, rather than be proactive. And the way to really be proactive is really I always had a motto. I loved Apple and Steve Jobs and all that. So, that one of my favorite commercials is the think different. And so that's always kind of been a motto of mine, of going, how can we think different? How can we innovate? How can we take what everybody's been doing here and doing it this way? How can we do it completely in our own approach and in our own way? And so those are some of the things that I would do over again, if I could go back. And then just making sure that, the reason why I built the agency playbook for all of you is to give you the systems in, the right way, in order to do, really to scale. And really just make sure that everything has a system, everything has a process, and everything's documented for everything. That's what I would do all over again. So good question. What do you regret about the acquisition process, like earnouts or any of that? Okay, so what I regret in the acquisition, probably a couple things. Probably the one main one is doing part of the deal as an earnout. So when you get acquired, there's a couple different things that you'll get. You'll get cash, which is really nice. You'll get equity in the new entity, which is nice as well. You'll get sometimes, like I got a key role in the new the agency acquiring us, as well as an earnout. And to let everybody know, the earnout is designed for you to fail. And I didn't know that at the point. I mean, now I do. And talking to everybody that's ever gone through it, you've almost had to go through it in order to understand it. So hopefully you guys pay attention if this is ever a vision or an end goal for you. But I wish I had the earnout tied to a guarantee, because at the end of the day, when you go with the new entity, you don't control anything anymore. So your hands are strapped. I mean, literally, you're kind of almost like tied to the wall, and you can see the train coming, but you can't get off the wall. And that's really how an earnout, in my opinion, works. So I wouldn't do an earnout anymore. That's the biggest thing that I would learn from that. And then I would also probably not get as excited in the very beginning and show them how excited we were. I mean, we went through the process a couple times before just to kind of experiment with it and to, kind of learn it. But when they started offering what they offered to us, I mean, it was just like, it was kind of game changing, right? And so you get real excited and you show your emotions. And I wish I said no a lot more. I bet I could have got probably 2 times, 3 times, maybe even more. Like a good friend of mine sold Pardot, the marketing automation tool, to ExactTarget, who got bought by Salesforce. But he turned down $50 million, turned down $75 million, only to settle for $90 million in cash. So I wish I said no more. So hopefully that helps. All right, why do you do what you're doing now? Aren't you set for life? So why I do what I do now is when I sold the agency, sure, I had success, but success is lonely. And when you've built a company like we've done in the past and helping those employees get better as a person, better in their professional careers, you have significance and you help the clients and all of that. And when I sold, it was kind of depressing because I didn't have that anymore. And I wanted to affect people and have significance. I also love building new things. I'm a builder. I'm always having to build new stuff. And so I wanted to kind of bridge those two things together, as well as I wanted to create a resource that I just wish I had. When I was running my agency, I was doing so much, on the fly by night, right? It was just like, all right, no one's ever gone through this because digital agencies were new. And, what do we do? There was no playbook or anything to kind of follow. So my whole goal is to create a resource that I wish I had, just so you don't have to go through all the pains and the struggles that we did, so you can get through there a lot quicker. Because I just remember how lonely it was. Because even if you talk to your local competition, they're always going to lie to you. They're going to be like the ducks on the pond, right? They're going to look really cool and calm, on the surface, but then underneath they're, paddling away. And so you just feel bad about yourself because of the perception that they give you. And so that's why I do what I do, just to kind of make it real, let you know that you're not alone, that there are people out here that can actually help you and understand what you're going through. And so that's why I do it.
I want you to join the conversation. Make sure you comment and subscribe. Thanks for giving me your most valuable asset, your time.